Are we live?
We are live.
Live. Welcome to Thursday night. It's the one and only, it's not the one and only, but we are the original Living in Jacksonville channel. Hello, Emily. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. How are you?
I am good. A little tired. Had a little coaching session with the 7 and 8-year-old girls tonight. Had a little scrimmage and I was screaming. I was into it. And so they wore me out for sure. And I know you had a day today taking Ari to the vet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
100.
a whole thing whenever your dog is as big as a grown adult. Um, it's a whole thing. So
I,
yeah.
I just love this story. I just can picture you because you're not cute. You're not a big person. You're petite, and your dog's over 100 pounds, and they have her sedated, and you have to lift him into a car.
Yeah, I'm like my SUV is like it's kind of high off the ground. Like it has a little footsteps whenever you get in, if that tells you anything. And she normally just hops right into the trunk. She's a very athletic dog, but this sedative, they said when I picked her up, she didn't want to get up and they had to drag her by her leash to the door, and then she saw me and was like, oh, okay, let's go home. But she tried twice jumping in, and both times she like fell out of the trunk
Oh,
down. So then I had to like do some coaxing into the back seat. But yeah, the struggle is real.
you got her home. You got her home. You can't
Yes.
keep saying her. Why do I keep saying her? All right. So tonight, man, you did quite a job on that thumbnail. You aged me very dramatically, very quickly. And we were just talking about the powers of AI these days. But tonight we are talking about.
We are talking about retiring to Florida, specifically Northeast Florida.
Ah, awesome. I love it. I can dream because I'm nowhere near that. And I know, and I don't think I'm ever going to quit working. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be like completely not working. I want to still have my hands in something.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I feel like you kind of everyone kind of has their thoughts. I even when I became a mom, prior to becoming a mom, was like, I'm never going to be a stay-at-home mom. Like I have a lot of my identity in the work that I do, and I just could never picture myself. And while I love working, now that I am a mom, I'm like, I could picture it. Like I could picture being a stay-at-home mom. I'm not, and I enjoy it, and I'm so grateful for daycare. My daughter has little baby friends and stuff, and it's so cute. But I say that to say, like, part of me is like, oh, I will always want to work. But my father-in-law retired this year and he is enjoying it. So I'm like, you never know. Maybe when the time comes, I'll be like, see ya. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, everybody's different. My dad was when he retired, he didn't retire till his later 70s, and he lived to be 92, 91. And the
Wow.
last 10 years, he kept saying how bored he was and he wished he didn't sell his business. But so we are talking about retiring here in Northeast Florida, which I think is a great topic because Florida has always been known as a retirement state anyway. But then we've had this massive migration, and now it's like not so much. You hear about all the New York hedge fund managers, all the Jeff Bezos, Tom Brady, all the well-to-do celebrities and entrepreneurs that are coming to Florida to save tax dollars. It's not just a retirement state, and then also what's changing is, of course, the warm weather attracts people like that too, but it's the fact that we're not just it's not just those regular touristy seasonal places or yeah, like South Florida, coastal places. We're actually starting to see a massive growth of retirement here in Northeast Florida. So we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So with that being said, and I know you have the facts and I have the real life stories because I've been very fortunate to have a lot of folks reach out to me. We have a lot of 55 and plus communities here in our area. So I've always asked people why, and so I've got I've got the real life experience of why people are moving here, and you've got some of the facts for us. But before we get started, really quick, I just want to welcome everyone that's watching tonight. Wherever you're watching from, this is an interactive show. We love to know where you're watching from. Go ahead and put it in the comments section. Just say, hey, we're watching from Pennsylvania or wherever, because we love to know where our viewers are watching from. And if you're watching this at a later date, put it in the comments anyway, because we'd love to know where you're watching from. We have folks calling us from all over the country, sometimes different parts of the world. So that's very cool. And if you have any questions or whatever, make sure you put it in the comments. We will be watching our comments, and this is interactive. This is fun. We love it when you comment and join us. So, and we're going to keep doing this every Thursday night, as well as the Tuesday night videos that we put out as well. So where do we start?
Okay, so I think where we're going to start is I'm going to do like a quick preview and then of kind of like our local area. And then we're going to talk about some kind of basic facts, how you were saying,
Okay.
how I have the facts from the research and then you've got the experience. So I did go ahead and you had shared with me some of the most popular retirement communities that you are like you have relationships there and where you have a lot of people calling you about. So I wanted to put that on the screen just to show that these are only the ones that you said, hey, let's hit on these tonight. And that's already 7 different communities. So, and this is not this is not all of the retirement communities in our area. There are others. You've got several in Nocatee. We've got several over here in St. John's. We've got one up here at eTown. So lots of communities just right here in our area. I'll zoom out so you can see here is Jacksonville. And then here we are in Northeast Florida. So we have so many videos out there. I mean, you've got some on St. Johns County, but for someone who might have just stumbled upon our channel and they have really no idea or they're just starting their research, why would you tell them that this Northeast Florida is a great area to retire to?
Yeah, so I mean, again, the standard reasons why everybody moves here obviously is, taxes, political, and weather, right? I mean, that's the main gist of it. We have great weather in Florida. It doesn't snow, at least not most of the time. And then, the income tax, there's just a lot of benefits to that. And I think if we want to narrow it down, some of the most popular retirement areas in Florida are usually in the southern sections because South Florida is warmer throughout the year. So now we're talking about, it's always been Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. Now we're starting to see massive growth in communities in Port St. Lucie. Naples is a huge retirement community if you want to talk West Coast, Sarasota. All these places are very I want to say snowbirds live there, if you will. So they come down or they used to more so come down for 3-4 months out of the year, and then you go back up north or wherever they're from, usually cold places. But now we're starting to see people that are moving these places full time all year round. And so those are the reasons people are moving to Florida, and that's why it's so beneficial for retirees. Now, today's show is more like, well, where are they moving to as far as, where are more beneficial areas that are becoming new places to move to? And that's St. Augustine, Jacksonville, and Amelia Island. And why are people moving to those areas? Why are they moving up northeast? Well, the number one reason that I'm hearing a lot about is because of our medical facilities up here. We have Mayo Clinic. We have Baptist Health. We have St. Vincent's. I mean, we have major medical communities. So whenever my folks come up and look at properties, they're here usually because they're getting treated for, I had one gentleman that was getting treated for lung cancer. I had one gentleman that was coming here for cardio treatment because he'd had heart issues. So some very serious issues. And if you go to those crowded areas in South Florida or even maybe Naples, I'm hearing because there's such an influx in population that there's not enough specialists, doctors, and that it can take possibly over a year to get a doctor in those
Wow.
areas. Yeah, so that's pretty scary. I mean, if you're a retiree and you have any kind of medical history of issues, that's a pretty scary thought
Mhm.
that you can't even find a specialist for a year or get in to see a specialist in a year. And so we have better opportunities for medical care here in the Jacksonville area, way better from what I understand. So another thing is that Jacksonville is has a lot of culture, and so I was talking to one of my father's friends. My dad has passed away now, but one of his friends that lived in this area quite a while. I said, "Why did you move here?" And it was interesting. He was saying, the Jacksonville Symphony, the arts, culture. That we have Florida Theater.
Mhm.
So, you can move to like the Sarasotas or the Port St. Lucies or Vero Beach or whatever, but are you going to be able to go to downtown Jacksonville and watch a massive symphony play in 100-year-old theater? So you have that access, or then be able to go south to St. Augustine, one of the oldest cities in the United States, and have a dinner, in a touristy area. So we have a combination of a lot of things. We also have the Jaguars. We have professional sports here. So it's like we're spread out. We're not so concentrated. We have lots of culture events and arts and things to do. And so that's why you're seeing developers growing more and more of these 55 and older communities. I think I touched up on everything, right? So we're
Yeah, I
seeing,
think so.
yeah, the medical community. We're seeing, and then finally, the last thing I didn't bring up, medical community. We're seeing culture and arts, and then the other thing also was because now insurance is skyrocketed in the state of Florida due to the hurricanes in Fort Myers. Those southern coastal areas are more susceptible to hurricanes. Insurance has gotten out of hand.
Mhm.
I was talking to someone yesterday that's not even near water in South Florida, and their insurance has doubled. It's like $7,000 for a house that's 2,800, 2,900 square feet. If you're a retiree and you don't have a huge income, you don't know how long you're going to live. You got a budget. You're not knowing, how much money you're going to go through, and having a home insurance bill of $7, 10, $15,000 in some of these areas, maybe might come high. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's cheap up here, but it's cheaper than some of these other areas that I'm talking about. Naples is extremely expensive.
Yeah,
Um,
not even just insurance, just the mere fact of purchasing a home.
Correct.
Yeah.
And again, and the places I'm going to talk about tonight, they're not cheap either, but there are better options and overall cost of spending where you're getting a lot in return.
Mhm.
Um, Another big thing is we have a lot of golf communities here, and one of the big complaints I got from retirees and empty nesters down in South Florida is that if you want to live in a golf community, you're obliged to have golf membership and country club membership.
Mm.
I was floored when I moved to Jacksonville and I was showing all these golf community country clubs, and they're like, "No, you can live in Marsh Landing and not have golf country club membership." Really?
Mhm.
You can live in, Sawgrass and not have golf membership. In fact, there's a waiting list right now to get in anyway. In South Florida and some of these other private golf club communities, you have to get membership. You have to buy the membership with the purchase of the home. So that was another thing where people were like, I want to play at all the different golf courses in town. And we have a ton of golf courses. We have Sawgrass Players Club, famous PGA Tour comes through here. So we also have that,
Yeah.
And then finally, the other thing is when you're a retiree, you have time. So you want to take road trips to different places. You've got Amelia Island, you've got Jekyll Island in Georgia, you've got Tybee Islands, you've got Charleston, you've got Savannah. Road trips is so easy to get out of Florida. So there's just so many benefits for attracting retirees here. And I can say that is obvious because if you look at St. Augustine, St. John's, you look at Ponte Vedra, where I'm in Nocatee, and then even north to Wildlight up in Amelia Island, they are all creating these master plan communities with 55 and older clubs within those communities, and they're amazing.
Mhm. All right. I love it. No, that's perfect. So, to kind of reiterate, my question was why would someone choose Northeast Florida? And if anyone just hopped on and Greg was explaining insurance and just overall like cost associated with maybe choosing some of comparing Northeast Florida to some of the other more popular retirement hotspots in South Florida, insurance is a big pain point. Healthcare, having availability, being able to find a specialist for yourself is a little bit easier up here in Northeast Florida than what we are hearing. Obviously, we can't speak on every single area, but we know what the people say when they call us and their complaints. And that is a complaint that we've heard. And then, oh gosh, the culture and the arts. There's so many offerings here within Jacksonville. And then just the locational advantages of being in Northeast Florida when it comes to things like hurricanes, when it comes to things like travel, that sort of thing. So before we touch more on some of those details, I have some information to share with you guys tonight. And I am going to get that put up on our screen here just so you can see it if you are interested in doing kind of your own research. But this article was posted by AARP in January of this year. So I really like this because it's new, it's fresh information, and it's about the top 5 states where retirees are moving. I think it is no surprise that Florida is number 1. It's kind of funny that they have this South Carolina sign here.
Yeah.
But Florida was number 1, more than 338,000 US residents retired to a new home just last year. And that was almost a 50% jump from the previous year. So really, really interesting information there. And then what I found really interesting, if you look right over here, this is kind of like, oh, you can't see my screen or I'm in my mouse, but when it says where retirees are going to and leaving from, I kind of treat that as like the quick facts. And as you can see, Florida was number 1, 11.1% of all inbound moves. Close second is South Carolina. I love, South Carolina does have some coastal areas, which I think has a lot of appeal as well. New Jersey, kind of surprising to me, but I was like, okay. And then Texas, I was not surprised to see 5.8%, and then followed by Washington. So these are the top 5 interstate moves that happened in 2023.
Yeah. There's only one that I thought would be on there that it's probably in the top 10, but it's not on there, as I was surprised that Arizona wasn't on there.
Interesting.
For all
Okay.
the California folks, I would assume Arizona would have been a big move, but you're definitely throwing me for a loop for Jersey.
I know. I was not expecting that.
And Washington.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
then as far as now this, I wasn't super surprised to see the 5 states that were most frequently exited. California, we have those calls all the time. People leaving California, whether they're retiring or not, leaving California and wanting to come to Florida. Same thing with New York. And then we've got followed up by Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. So this is kind of, if you're at that stage in your life where you're getting ready to retire, or maybe you know someone who is, maybe you're not at that stage, but your parents are, or something like that. Obviously, you can see that Florida is one of the most popular areas for people to move to.
Yeah.
And touched on that. So,
yeah. I think also that list you've got there is interesting about where people are leaving from. I mean, California and New York's a given, right? But I can attest to the Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, especially the people that are working in DC and live in Virginia. It's so expensive. So people are like, you know what? After retiring, that it's just so it's some parts. I don't know Virginia that well. I lived in DC for a very brief while, but I mean, it is expensive.
yeah.
So I can see why those are all the expensive places to live. And then Ohio and Pennsylvania, we've got a lot of folks moving. You want to add Illinois, Chicago as well as a big spot. So it's very interesting and I got a lot of clients from Pennsylvania too. So I get it. So it's definitely, when people think it's just all New York and California, it's not. there's quite a variety of folks moving from all over the country. And I like that in a way, because when you move into these new communities, what's cool about that is that, especially if you're a retiree, you're going to meet a lot of people because
Yeah.
everybody's in the same boat. And it goes for people that are not retired too. Because if, people go, hey, should I buy a resale or a new house? And I tell them the benefits, the pros and cons of not. And I'll tell you what, I'm sorry, I got distracted. There's a comment. You got to share this comment.
That's hilarious.
I'm
Funny.
in New Jersey now. Don't retire here. You get taxed for breathing. At first, I thought you were going to say it was unhealthy to breathe in New Jersey, but he's like, no, you're going to get taxed for breathing. Yeah, I know. I appreciate that, Eric Hoffman. I appreciate that, because a lot of people say that the taxation, it's not just that you're getting taxed a lot. I hear a lot of people complaining in these areas that they're not getting anything in return, it feels like. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's interesting. Thanks for the comment. Anybody else, wherever you're watching from, make sure you put on the comments. And I love it. Thanks for cracking me up on that one. I haven't heard that one before.
And it's funny that he mentions that, because as I was scrolling, there's like a little highlight that says Florida, sure, but New Jersey, kind of like they're surprised too. And it does say that it might seem counterintuitive, giving New Jersey's reputation as an expensive place to live with some of the highest income and property tax rates in the nation. So it's really interesting that just happened to be your comment. Thank you for sharing that. And they mentioned that here as well in that article. So really interesting.
Yeah, but so does it say what's drawing people to New Jersey? I mean, I'm definitely thrown for a loop, because we do have a lot of clients leaving New Jersey, but I've never heard of anybody moving there. Maybe it's people leaving New York to go to New Jersey.
Potential. That's exactly what this says. New Jersey is a popular retirement destination for those leaving the state of New York.
Okay, there we go. All right, that makes sense. I mean, not everybody wants to leave the city completely, and you can still get there. And I think, what what I like about some of my New York and Jersey folks is they are loyal. And man, the other thing is they're very family oriented. I don't know if this is like a total profile or stereotype, but y'all, when you move New York or you leave New York and New Jersey, I swear they're like, my sister's coming, my mom's coming, my cousin's coming, they're probably coming. We need like 5 houses. Can we get them all together? Like, oh, that's tough. But I love how like family oriented they are. Like, it's such a big deal that they try to move together. But there's some people that say I'm never leaving. I've had people come down here and they didn't move here. I had some New Jersey folks that said I can't do it. Their businesses are up there, their family's there, their culture. I mean, how many times do you see on social media that we don't have enough good bagel places around here?
Yeah.
We have a bagel place that literally has water shipped from New York down here, because you can't make a bagel without New York water. There's something in their water that makes the bagel really good. And I don't know what it is. I haven't had it yet. If anybody wants to go ahead and make fun of me and tell me where, I forget, there's a place in town that brings the water.
Bagels Are Us.
Is that it?
It's Bagels Are Us. It's so funny because today Travis was home, my husband. He wasn't feeling good, and he got back from the doctors and he said, hey, let's grab lunch. What do you want? And I said, it's so funny because I was sitting here thinking, I really want a bagel right now, but that's probably not what you want. And he was like, no, it's not. But I was just sitting here thinking about these bagels because they're so good. But it's called Bagels Are Us. They are, the spot to get bagels in town, because it is the closest you will get to anything like a bagel up north.
Yeah. The other big complaint is pizza. People from New York, New Jersey, they're like, you guys don't know how to make pizza here. But apparently there's another place. So we're getting it, because if everybody's moving down here, it's going to come, right? So I went off track. I'm thinking about food now. Jeez.
Too funny.
Get me back on track, Emily.
Well, those were just the main facts that I wanted to share with us tonight, just to kind of give everyone an idea of where people are moving to, where they're moving from. We already kind of knew this, but I just like to share the information, because sometimes we are given new insights, like New Jersey being one of the top states that people retire to. That wasn't something that we expected. So Just wanted to share that with us. So now we're going to take a look specifically at our Northeast Florida area and what are some of the most popular places to retire to, as far as here, what communities we really recommend for someone looking to retire to Northeast Florida. And, I welcome any comments that anyone has, because I know Greg touched on the reasons why people retire to Florida. And sometimes I don't want to tell too many stories, but at the same time, I also don't want to kind of under highlight just how great of an area this is. Greg, you and I were talking before when we were preparing for tonight's show, and you brought up healthcare. And I'll just share a quick story of how before I stepped into the role that I'm doing now, when I was actively practicing sales, I actually had a family that was moving down here. The parents were of retirement age. They really were moving down here, though, for healthcare, which is in alignment with why a lot of people do retire to Florida, specifically Northeast Florida, for the healthcare. But they were actually moving from Colorado. And I remember that they had a kind of a limbo period. They had to move quickly. So they were in a hotel for a little while we were looking for their home. And I remember them saying just in the 2 weeks that they had been here, their daughter's health had significantly improved from the sheer fact of the altitude change. They're like, just being at a lower altitude, because she had some autoimmune illnesses, and just being at a lower altitude, how that had impacted her health so significantly. So it really is, there is just so many unique advantages to living in this area. And then I also just feel like there's so much appeal specifically, and this is just my opinion, but specifically to Northeast Florida, because as kind of big and developed as Northeast Florida is, I think that our community is unique because there are so many little pockets where it feels like a small town. Like Jacksonville, Duval County is the largest county in the continental U.S. landmass wise. But you'll hear people say, like, if you say, oh, I'm from Jacksonville, people will say, oh, well, where? Because you could be from Jacksonville Beach, or you could be in Nocatee, technically St. John's, but you could be in Nocatee, you could be in Mandarin. There's so many places that you could be. Yeah, Fleming Island. So it's just, that I think is really unique compared to South Florida, because, we know that people are retiring to Florida. So why would you choose North Florida versus South Florida, which, by the way, we have a video on that of why your family chose North Florida versus South Florida. But I think that that's really unique because I'm from a small town. So moving to Jacksonville, I didn't think I would have that same feel. And even my parents have commented when they've come to visit, they're like, oh, this is just such a little, kind of like a small little beach town. And I'm like, it isn't, but it is. You have that feeling where you go out to the coffee shop and you do see people that it's not, it's not quite the vibe that you get in some of the larger, more densely populated South Florida areas.
Yeah. And that's
just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you touched up on that, because of that, you have a lot of community in these areas, and sometimes we refer to them as bubbles, but that's the thing about it, is the community and the connection, and it doesn't feel so big. So I like that. I'm glad you touched up on that.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the communities that are right here in Northeast Florida that we recommend to someone that if they called us up and they said, hey, I'm of retirement age, I'm looking for a 55 and up community, where do I start? Where do I begin? So we highlighted some of the communities that we show people to most often. I'm going to start right here in your backyard, Greg, which is Nocatee. So Nocatee is the #1 master plan community on the First Coast. We have been ranked one of the fastest growing top master plan communities in the country for multiple years now. But Nocatee has really 3, but we've got 2 Del Webb 55 and up communities. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So I think one of the big places people always ask is about Del Webb, right? And then the other thing is, we did a video recently on Lakewood Ranch in Sarasota, because that's one of the other places people always check out. But I think that the confusing part of Del Webb and Nocatee, there's a Del Webb Ponte Vedra and there's a Del Webb Nocatee. So we have 2 Del Webbs in Nocatee. but they're separated. So if you live in one Del Webb, you can't go to the clubhouse in the other Del Webb, even though they're right down the street from each other. The Del Webb Ponte Vedra is the original Del Webb in Nocatee. So they're definitely the older homes, and where you're going to go, the one that's closer to the town center.
Okay, this one right here.
Yeah, the map. Why that? Yeah. Okay. No, it's not supposed to say Del Webb there. It's on the right side there. You see the two communities on the right side? I don't know why that map says Del Webb there. To the right. No, go the other way.
Right.
Yeah, that's yeah. So on the south end is Nocatee Del Webb, as you see down there on the bottom. And that's the newer section. And they're 60 to 70% sold out. But north of that is the old Del Webb on that side. Keep going north. There you go. Right there where your mouse is over, that's the north section, which is near the town center. And that's the Ponte Vedra Del Webb. And both communities have about, I say 700-800 homes, single families, as well as what they call villas, which look like duplexes. And so one is the Ponte Vedra Del Webb has more of a Spanish style feel to it. You have the Spanish tile roofs. You have, you're on the Nocatee Del Webb right now, the newer one.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So the older Del Webb is where you would go to find resales. You have a very Spanish style feel in that community. You're looking at 700-800 homes. They have their own clubhouse, and they have, I believe they are renovating it, although it's a beautiful clubhouse. I don't know why, but they are updating it because they have the new Nocatee Del Webb down the street that's all brand new. So I guess they feel they need to do a facelift over there. But they have the claim to fame on that one is they have indoor swimming pools and a spa that's all indoor. The new Del Webb in Nocatee does not have an indoor lap pool and does not have the indoor spa. So that's one of the differences. And then the Del Webb Ponte Vedra doesn't have a restaurant, and the new Del Webb Nocatee does have a restaurant. The new Del Webb Nocatee, which you had up, which you can still build from scratch. They do have a more of a coastal vibe, a very New England coastal vibe. And they have the Canopy Club, and I did a video on it, and it's very in-depth of the community with great footage. But they have an amazing clubhouse there with killer little restaurant, beautiful pool. They have really nice brunches. They have a bar, a full service bar and everything. So it's pretty incredible. And the amenities are gorgeous. Even though they don't have the indoor lap pool, they have an outdoor lap pool, beautiful gym. I mean, the amenities there are nicer than the amenities in Nocatee. So not only did they get to take advantage of the amenities in the master plan community, but then they have their own preferred amenities within each of these communities, and they're guard gated. So only members that live in residence can have access to those Del Webb amenities separate. Also want to mention that, that's the Anastasia Club. That's the new one. That's the old one in Ponte Vedra, Nocatee.
This is this is the Ponte Vedra one.
Yeah, that's the Ponte Vedra one. See, it has an indoor pool. It's got Spanish style roofs, gorgeous gym, just tons of amenities. And look, they have own pickleball courts and everything. But what I would say also is that they have like 30 something clubs. So if you're a retiree and you want to be active, I think it's really important for retirees, anybody's watching this or watching this later, is you realize that this is for Northeast Florida is really for active, in my opinion, active retirees. Because we have a lot of hiking up here. We have a lot of road trip places you can do here. There's a lot of clubs. They have gardening clubs in these communities that are very active. So I just feel like this is a very sporty, active area for retirees. And then, of course, we get a lot of retirees that are following their grandchildren and families moving here as well. But this Nocatee, Ponte Vedra, the Anastasia Club, they have 33 different clubs, and I make jokes about it all the time. I'm like, because I'm with people, I'm like, they even have a sausage making club, and everybody thinks I'm being crass. And I'm like, no, they have some killer Italian sausage makers over there. Like they
That's
don't mess around.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's killer. The Nocatee Ponte Vedra is relatively newer, but they already have over 10 clubs. So they have a wine club, they have a traveling club. Some of my clients have moved in there and they're like, yeah, we've been doing trips with my neighbors, going places, traveling together with the travel club. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's just absolutely
Mm,
beautiful. Yeah, yeah. I saw they're both really great opportunities. Now, I will say, I mean, especially the newer Nocatee Ponte, the new Del Webb in Nocatee or Nocatoa, it's not cheap to buy a home in there, but I think the monthlies are really reasonable for what you get. So if you lived in South Florida or Sarasota or Naples and you're a member of a country club, you're going to spend easily, tens of thousands of dollars to become a member, and then you have to have you have to eat, you have to use the club amenities, or I don't know, they have like a tab where you have to eat a certain amount of food every month there, or you get billed. Here it's very reasonable. I mean, you're talking about $180, $200 a month,
yeah.
and you have like your access to your own private club. That's like $2,400 a year. That's the cheapest country club lifestyle you could ask for. Now, of course, you don't have a golf club or anything, but you have the social aspect of it and everything way cheaper than, some of these other destinations. And that's the idea here. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's funny, and I hope this doesn't sound bad, but you brought up how active you feel like this is the area for. It's an active adult lifestyle. And coming from a small town not near the beach, it is something that I noticed moving here is how healthy the people that live here are compared to where I'm from. You don't really see a ton of people that are really overweight and really like they're, I would say in general, because of the lifestyle that we have here in Northeast Florida, it being this more active lifestyle, I feel like people are in really good health. It's so funny how I was amazed when I first moved here of how no matter what time of the day you go out, there is someone out on a run. Like you will always see people out running and they're out doing stuff. And I think that is definitely, I love it. It's one of the things that I love about living here. And I think it's really nice that it doesn't matter how old you are. Like there are still those opportunities and a community within that itself of, enjoying those activities.
Yeah, I mean, these people are always playing pickleball, always playing bocce ball. They're always, getting together and doing things. I mean, even the trails within these communities are incredible. And then also, I mean, just go down to Guana Preserves. I mean, if you go on a Saturday or Sunday morning, you see a lot of retirees that are together walking these trails, these little hiking trails. So it is awesome to get out, and that's longevity, right? That's how you live long.
Absolutely. Okay, so next up that I have for us, as far as top communities for 55 and older active adult communities, another one right there in Nocatee is going to be Artisan Lakes. So you can see this is kind of on the northern end here. So what can you tell us about Artisan Lakes?
Yeah, so I did a video on Artisan Lakes as well. It's on the northwest section. So Artisan Lakes is only like, I think, 200 homes maybe. And it's a 55 and older community. It's gated. So it's way smaller than the other two. The other two have 800 homes. So if you really want that exclusive, quaint neighborhood that's gated and has a really nice amenities, not as big as the other ones, but very private and secluded. It's on the Duval section, and it's kind of out of the way over there. It's actually right next to the St. John Paul's Catholic Church, in that area over there of Nocatee, and a smaller amount of houses, very quaint. And so I guess the way I would describe that is they don't have as many events like the Nocatee Del Webbs or the Ponte Vedra Del Webbs. Like the way I would describe it is like, if you live in the Del Webb, Nocatee, the Ponte Vedra Nocatee, it's almost like you're going to the popular cool kids high school. And then Artisan Lakes is like the chilled out place where I don't need something every minute. I like to have some time to my own. I like it quiet and chilled out. I don't need to have an event for me every single day. And their amenities are beautiful, and it's out of the way. It's a great little section. It's near the town center. And I know people who live there, they love it. There's one area that they just don't move. Look at that clubhouse. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually showed a home in here, and the listing agent met us there because he also lived in there. And it was honestly so nice because I'm not anywhere near that phase of my life. And so I didn't really know a ton about the community. And since he lived there, he was just a wealth of knowledge. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting is during the summer months, they limit the times that your grandchildren can like come to the pool within that community. And I thought that is so cool because if I were a little kid and I knew that grandma and grandpa had a pool where they lived, I'd be like, let's go over to their house. But that might not be what everyone else that lives there, wants to have going on around them when they're just trying to have a relaxing day at the pool. And since this is that 55 and up community, I thought that was really neat that they have that rule to kind of like make sure that everyone's enjoyment of the amenities are respected. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, and they do that in the Del Webbs too. There's visiting hours. They have to do that. I mean, the amenities are so incredible that grandkids would be there all the time if they could.
Right.
But I mean,
would be.
yeah, I mean, we have kids. We know what relaxation is with kids non-existent.
Yeah.
But they have their visiting hours so that you can bring your grandkids and whatnot. And so
what would you say the pricing is like in these communities comparatively? I mean, I've got Artisan Lakes up right now. There's 3 homes actively for sale. You've got one at 800, one right under 850, and one at 1.15 million. How does that compare to Del Webb, especially knowing that Del Webb has more kind of like community offerings, if you will, how you just described?
Yeah, so I would say that's about right. You're going to see anywhere from about 550, more like 600 to $1 million in Artisan Lakes. And like you said, there's only 3 listings, so there's not a ton of options a lot of the time. But because Del Webb Ponte Vedra is older, you can probably find an older home in Ponte Vedra Del Webb, because those Artisan Lake homes are more like 2000. I would say what, 17, 18, 19. 20. So they're not old, but you can find older homes in Ponte Vedra, Nocatee resales, and you can find them, as low as in the, I want to say upper 400, low 500s for a smaller home or a villa, if you will. And then in the Nocatee Ponte Vedra, you're going to be starting for a villa in the upper 5s, lower 600s, just for a small villa.
I mean, you're spot on. These right here, I just, while you were talking, kind of pulled those up. These are in the Ponte Vedra Del Webb, and we've got villas starting like just under that 400. You've got one at 425. So
those are townhomes.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, your pricing is spot on.
Yeah, but I mean, you weren't able to get in there for less than 500 just a couple of years ago. So we're seeing some of these resale opportunities come up, and they're nice homes. And I'm like, tell me, where can you find a home in an amazing community like Nocatee for under 500 grand? Now they're not big homes, but I'm saying there are opportunities here for affordable living. I mean, look at that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, our next stop. So let's just keep it in St. Johns County for now. Our next stop is going to be Watersong at RiverTown. You cannot see my screen. I apologize. Here we go. So here we were over in Nocatee. You can see where my mouse is. And as we move west toward the St. Johns River, we have and if my pens are wrong on the map, I apologize. I was just typing in names and kind of penning what popped up. But here it has us as Watersong at RiverTown, right in this area.
Yeah, that's not right. That's totally wrong.
Okay.
It's on the river. It's completely
I know.
off.
Like,
RiverTown development on the bottom. There you go. That's where it is. Yep. Yeah, so RiverTown development is a popular master plan community with about 4,700 homes. The main builder and developer is Mattamy Homes. And so They do offer a 55 and older community called Watersong. It is, I believe, one of the very few communities or few 55 and older communities that Mattamy has done ever. So it was a very slow start in development. And so people never want to be the first in these type of communities. So there's really good opportunities over there. And the lure of that area is just the fact that you're by the St. Johns River. There's so much hiking and beauty and pavilions with piers that you can just go on your morning walk and actually just really be engrossed in nature. The Spanish moss trees, and it is beautiful. But they are also building community there in Watersong with their own clubhouse, pickleball, bocce courts, and it's slowly coming along. And so probably because you're out west there, it's a little more of a country feel, and it's definitely a little quieter, but it's coming along, and I think you can definitely even get in there for a reasonable price. There's a lot of incentives and whatnot as they're trying to grow that community.
And it looks like compared to the communities that we looked at in Nocatee, I mean, it says, I just pulled up their subdivision. It says there are 38 active listings. But as I kind of scroll through here, most of them are just renderings. So it looks like maybe they're still being built. Does it look like, I know you mentioned that it's a new community. Would you say they have more like brand new construction opportunities than what you would see?
Yeah, it's all new construction. It hasn't taken off as quick as we anticipated. So there are some really good incentives actually to get in there because it's in the beginning stages. I always say to folks, the time you want to be in a community and for new construction is at the beginning and the end, because those are where the incentives and the deals are. So there's some fantastic incentives in there right now, but it's totally brand new. They have another phase coming in amenities, and so it's just the very early stages right now. So it's definitely a time where it's going to be quiet, and you're going to have opportunities to buy in there. But you also, again, because Watersong is in RiverTown, you also get access to RiverTown's amenities, which are incredible. I mean, the River House, River Club, gorgeous pool and bar on the river. So, again, as a retiree, you can be very active. These docks I'm talking about, I mean, look at them. They look like you're walking on a bay. So you really can be very active and enjoy a beautiful retirement lifestyle there. And it's very reasonable. It'd probably be better pricing than you'll get in Ponte Vedra and Nocatee area for sure.
All right. Well, next up then we have Lenar at Stillwater. Let's see how Google Maps did. Does this look right?
Yes, looks somewhere right here.
Yay, for once. Good job, Google Maps.
Yeah. So off of 210 is Stillwater, and they are a Lenar community, and they have an amazing golf course in there. And I know a lot of people play golf over there that are, they say the golf course is amazing. The builds, it's Lenar. It's kind of like it's a lower tier builder. You have less choices to make or whatever. They kind of package their deals, their finishes and whatnot. So it's just you can buy homes in there a lot less than all the communities we're talking about right now. They are incentivizing like crazy. So I haven't sold in there because I've heard a lot of complaints within the communities about some of the builds in there. But I heard their golf course is amazing. But in order to fund that golf course and the operations of it, they do allow a certain amount of outside memberships to the golf club there. But you do not have to be a member of the golf club to live there. It's gated, and they have some massive incentives to get in there right now. So, if you're not fussy about your build, or you're going to do things anyway to your house afterwards, I mean, you can get an amazing deal in there and be on an incredible golf course if you love golfing.
Yeah, so they've got 7 active listings on the MLS right now. I just pulled up one to kind of give people a visual. This is listed at $589. This home, it has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and just over 2,000 square feet. But I just want to show you so you get that visual. So here we can see some of the amenities, but in just a second, you'll be able to see that golf course. I mean, you can kind of see it in the back corner here.
Yeah, no, I have friends that are members of the golf course, and they say it's a phenomenal golf course. So if you like golfing, it's a great opportunity. And by the way, those prices that you see listed on the MLS, there are way more incentives on top of that. So you can certainly negotiate and get a great deal in there on a home. And if you love golfing, certainly some opportunities. But you're definitely going to want to make the house your own after you move in, because
All right.
Lenar is limited as far as choices you get on your build.
Right. Okay, we have just 2 more. We've got 1 more in St. Johns County, and then we're going to hit on 1 in Duval County. Our last one in St. Johns County is the new Del Webb at Bartram Ranch, which you said is like new. So tell us about this.
Yeah, I don't even know what to tell you. All I can tell you is that now Del Webb's by Pulte Homes, so you'll see the sign on 210. They are building right next to the Toll Brothers community, Bartram Ranch, which has just been incredible. They just opened up a new phase, and I have a lot of folks that are building in Bartram Ranch and have built in Bartram Ranch, but they're asking because in Bartram Ranch Phase 5, right next to some of the homes behind it is preserve, and then there's the new Del Webb Pulte Homes. So people are like, well, what's that? And I'm like, that's a new Del Webb community. It's going to be a 55 and older, and it's going to follow the standard Del Webb format with the clubhouse and the amenities and everything. It's brand new. It's not even open, I don't think. And so I think that's interesting because, you know, when you have a 55 and older community, you know, it's a different vibe in a certain area. So, you know, we have a school down the road. You have a big community, a lot of communities around there. You have RiverTown down the road. So I think it's a great addition, if you will, and it won't make the area too crazy. Although one of my clients said to me, well, you know, retirees like to party too.
I love that.
Yeah, so I don't know too much about it yet. They're clearing the land now, but because honestly, Del Webb, Nocatee, and Del Webb, Ponte Vedra, as far as new construction goes, they're pretty much winding the corner right now. So this again is going to be an opportunity to get brand new at a better price, probably out there for sure.
Do we know what it's going to be called, the new Del Webb, or no? Not yet.
I know. I think I was wondering if there was going to be anything online, but I didn't do my homework on that.
No, well, I did. I looked and I didn't find anything.
Yeah, no, there's only signs up. I didn't ask my inside my salespeople. That I might have been getting a little information on it, but I did. We've been so busy lately that I haven't had a chance. My mind is all over the place. But again, when they're clearing the land, it'll be announced. But it's just way too early right now. I think it's good that we put on a list because you have so many Del Webbs in St. Johns County and surrounding St. Johns County. So just to show you how popular, this is a national builder, Pulte Homes. There's Del Webbs all over the country. And here we have 3 or 4 Del Webbs that are literally like 5-10 miles away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying to make a point that clearly this big builder, national builder, sees a lot of opportunity in retirement living up here.
Absolutely. And it's, as you're talking about that, I remembered, I don't know if they're going to change the name, but I actually did find this earlier and it made me think of it. This is the Greenbrier Road. That is Bartram Ranch. And what they have on their website, they're calling it Del Webb St. Johns. And as you can see, it says, you know, price coming soon. So there's really not a ton of information. But that just kind of jogged my memory of it is potential that that's what it's going to be called. I know with a lot of these other communities, the 55 and up community has access to the other communities' amenities as well, which we have quite a few videos on Bartram Ranch, but just wanted to quickly show how beautiful those amenities are.
Yeah, I don't think Del Webb and St. John's will have access to Bartram Ranch
Oh,
amenities because that's a
really? Okay.
I don't think so. I think they'll have their own amenities. So
Okay.
I don't want to lead people down that road. I don't think that will be the case. It's next door, but it's not. I think they'll have their own amenities. They won't have access to Bartram Ranch. I don't want to confuse people on that. So
Okay. Well,
yeah,
thank you for clarifying that.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Last one. Oh,
I
go ahead.
like I like the names. I mean, Del Webb, St. John. I said somebody called the other day an empty nester, and um, I said, you know, St. John's is known for their school districts. Why do you want to be in St. John's? And they were like, well, yeah, my family lives in Palm Bay, uh, which is south of us, right? And a
Mm,
lot of retirees are moving down to that area, like Crescent Beach and all that, because it's even cheaper down there. I said, so why not move down there? And they're like, man, I don't want to be in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing to do. You know what I mean?
that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So St. John's, I mean, you're going to have access to the Durban Pavilion and the shopping center that's going to be built in the next, continuing for the next 10 years, multiple phases. It's going to be massive. So again, going back to that, people are willing to pay a little bit more because they don't want to, again, they are active adult communities. They don't want to be in the middle of nowhere. They still want to have access to Jacksonville, St. Augustine, all the cool things in St. John's that has to offer as well.
Definitely. Okay, last one we have is going to be in Duval County, and that would be none other than Del Webb, eTown. So, to give you guys just kind of a geographic orientation, here were our Del Webb's Nocatee and then Artisan Lakes on the north, you said northwest side of
Section
Nocatee?
of Nocatee, yeah.
And then we have Watersong, which is actually over here, not there. Don't pay attention to that. Watersong at RiverTown is over here. Here we have Lenar at Stillwater. And then last but not least, we have this new Del Webb potentially being called Del Webb St. John's going right here. So our last one is going to be Del Webb eTown. So what can you tell us?
Yeah, Del Webb eTown is pretty much done actually. They're near they're near the St. John's Town Center area. eTown is another master plan community by Park Group, and they had an eTown in there, and I think they're pretty much sold out. They might have a couple opportunities left, but I think the allure to that community was you had the master plan community. It was only a total of 17 or 1,800 homes. They have their own Publix, they have their own restaurants, they have their own grocery store, dental stuff's coming in there, and I believe it's all going to be connected to the next phase of Nocatee. The Park Group is going to be doing getting ready for Ever Range, which will be accessible through eTown, and that's where that Del Webb eTown is. And so if you want to be kind of more in the middle of things, closer to Costco, near the St. John's Town Center area, which is our massive shopping center area, right? I mean, it's so crazy there. I don't even like to go there because it's so crazy and busy. But if you're retired and you have all the time in the world and you want to, go out and have a bite to eat and go to Louis Vuitton and or whatnot, whatever it is, that's where it's all at. So that's pretty close by. Yet you still have like Preserve and you have a golf cart red system, and you can go to your own Publix, and it feels like you're not like in the middle of hustle and bustle. You feel like you're really secluded, and yet you can still just jump on 95 or 290 and go into downtown Jacksonville, go to St. John's Town Center, or go to on the Beaches Boulevard to the beach. There's so many. You're not far from the beach. So it's a great location, and again, part of a master plan community.
Yes, I've got some photos for us here. We've got 10 active listings in Del Webb right now, ranging from 400,000 to about 720,000. But I just wanted to share kind of what this community looks like as far as their amenities, since that's what we've been looking at with the other communities as well. And these aren't always all encompassing. This is just what this particular listing agent chose to include with their listing. Let's see. Oh, I love this kind of like aerial view to really give you an idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Different vibe over there for sure.
yeah. So those are our top 7 master plan communities that we have people that are coming into Northeast Florida that are interested in. Again, the reasons why we have people coming here are going to be to escape those high insurance costs and just cost of living depending on where they're at. If they, especially if you're sitting on equity in your home in another state, Florida is just such a great option because, especially Northeast Florida, because our cost of living is significantly lower than some of these more popular cities that people are leaving from. So escaping those high costs with purchase price and insurance, the health care. I mean, I feel like Northeast Florida is as good as it gets with health care. The culture that we have, the culture, arts, sports that we have here, and then just the geographic accessibility. We didn't mention how we have a international airport. I know you recently, your family went on a trip and you guys decided, let's give the Orlando airport a try and just see if that's a better experience because we can fly direct instead of getting, having to do a layover. And you were like, I would rather have a layover. And we do have a lot of direct flights out of Jax. But you were like, I'd rather do a layover than deal with the Orlando airport.
Shoot me. Never want to go on I-4 again. I was just there for a real estate conference. The traffic is horrendous. It is awful. I mean, my gosh, I hope we don't head in that direction, but the Orlando traffic was a nightmare. Flying out of the airport, forget it. Jacksonville is like a walk in the park. If you want to know what flying out of Jacksonville is, it's actually close to what the experience is flying out of West Palm Beach Airport. It's a lot more chill compared to Fort Lauderdale and Miami Airport. That's the same feel for Jack's Airport, and I would never drive down to Orlando and do that nonsense again. So sorry, Orlando.
No, it's so true. We went to Fort Myers recently, and on the way back, we a friend was like, "Why don't we go through Orlando?" And we're like, "Why would we do that if we don't have to? Like, that sounds miserable." And he said, "Oh, well, it's going to be quicker for me, so I'll just break off from the group." And we were like, "Okay." And we actually all made it back 45 minutes to Jacksonville before he did because he got stuck in the Orlando traffic. And we were like, "Yeah, no, thank you."
Yeah.
But yeah, so just geographic accessibility, there's less traffic than some of these other places. And then we didn't bring up weather. We do have more of an experience of all 4 seasons in South Florida. So many reasons to love Northeast Florida. If you are thinking about retiring, or maybe your parents are thinking about retiring and you're curious about Northeast Florida, Mr. Greg DiTullio right there. I don't know what side of your screen he shows up on. But give him a call.
Yeah. Text me, call me, email me. My information will be in the pinned to the comment or in the description. For those of you who don't know where the description is on the video or YouTube, that's okay. We'll pin it on the comment section below. It's never too early to call and have that conversation. Try not to call me like the day before you arrive. I do book out pretty early. So if you can call me in advance, if you're planning to come to the area, certainly there's a lot of different options. So call, text, email, whatever you're most comfortable with. And we'll start putting a game plan together. There's a lot of opportunities in the area. And if you don't want to be here and you want to be further south, we have partners that we partner with up in the Amelia Island area. If you're looking at wildlife, or if you're looking at the Palm Bay area or Crescent Beach area or anywhere south, we have partners there as well. So we certainly can help you out.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we will see you next week, and we are excited. We might have a special guest joining us.
Hopefully.
So yes, hopefully. So we're excited, and we will see you guys then.
Thanks, Emily. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.